Imagine knowing exactly what your students are learning and exactly which steps you need to take next.
Join us in Down with the Reading Quiz to craft meaningful and productive formative assessments that move away from gotcha moments of basic recall and toward assessing what your students actually can do.
In this 30-minute free masterclass, we'll share 3 powerful assessment keys that work for any novel at any time of the year.
Head to shop.bravenewteaching.com/masterclass to sign up, and we'll also send you a free workbook to keep track of all your notes.
Once again, that's shop.bravenewteaching.com/masterclass to nail formative assessments forever.
Well, hello and welcome back to Brave New Teaching. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Marie. You just triggered some childhood trauma.
As you know, my sister's name is Amanda.
Yeah,
and whenever somebody says Amanda, she gives me the same look you just gave me. And that gives me so much joy to just bug you both.
So rude. So rude. So rude. Do not, in protest, we shall not listen to the rest of this episode.
Rude. But it's so good. Because the rest of this episode
this is going to be a good episode.
Is a sneak peek, a little snippet, if you will, of our most popular and highly requested masterclass, Down with the Reading Quiz. So how could you, Amanda? How could you keep the people of the podcast waves from such content gold? That's just like, look at your choice.
I rescind my protest.
You need to look at your life, look at your choices. Wow. What kind of a person do you want to be?
We will come up with something else, the Amandas of the world. We will fight back. We will be avenged one day.
Anyways, well, friends, listen. We are happy to have you here because the more that we talk to other teachers, the more that we spread our Brave New Teaching reach, we realize that more talk of assessments needs to be happening. And that was kind of how we kicked off a lot of what we do is with this masterclass. How many iterations have we had of this masterclass, Amanda?
3.
3? Yes. Yeah. And so what we have for you today is not the whole entire thing because you want to like have notes. You want to be able to sit down and have notes and look at the slides and do all of that. But what we do have is just one of the pieces of it to get your creativity going, maybe. This is something that is highly shareable that you could send to other members of your department, other teacher friends that you have to just start some conversations. Because in our master here, do you want to explain a little bit of like the overview of what people will find when they take the free masterclass?
When you sign up for the masterclass, you're going to, like we said, you're going to be sent the link directly to watch the training. So it's pre-recorded. It's ready to go. There's a workbook that you can print out and take notes on, which is beautiful because I know that some departments will take that for PD credit. So that's a super bonus. And the goal of the masterclass is to walk you through the 3 formative assessments that change the way we teach reading. That's the best way that I can put it. So when I began teaching, when Marie began teaching, when a lot of us began teaching, reading comprehension checks were common, right? They were multiple choice quizzes or gotcha style quizzes. We wanted to make sure the kids were being held accountable, which we now know is not anything connected to skill building or big picture thinking, critical thinking. None of that is being measured. We're measuring a behavior versus some skills. So we wanted to make sure to provide for teachers what to do instead. So if you're also bumping up against that wall, you're feeling like, okay, we're kind of stuck in that and it doesn't feel good. What can I do instead? Here are 3 things you can do instead. We want to share with you here on the podcast one of them. You're going to hear the audio of this training. But when you come over to the full masterclass, you're going to hear the walkthrough. You'll see the slide deck. You're going to watch Marie and I walk you through samples, examples, all of the above. And you'll have your handy dandy notes to
and you can screenshot away the examples that we like. That's why they're there. We want to help because these are, like Amanda said, things that like really made big and like, what am I trying to say? Productive changes, lasting changes in our classrooms, in our teaching, and in the way that our students are interacting with materials and content. So the example that you're going to see today is of a 1-pager quiz. 1-pagers are generally, or that you're going to hear today, 1-pagers are generally thought of in the ELA world as a summative, right? As an end all project. But we talk through how to use the idea of a one pager as an actual formative assessment. And so I think that that's something kind of exciting and different that you can listen through, and then make sure that you go to the show notes, click on the little skiddly-doo link.
Skiddly-doo.
The skiddly-doo. Do the slickly bicks with the skiddly doos, and then you'll get the full training.
Yep, pretty much.
That's it. That's all there is to say.
Recommendation from us.
Okay, so friends, basically, we're gonna jump right into the training, to the little snippet that we have, and then we will be back at the end of this episode just to make sure that we wrap things up for you. So let's, with no further ado, this has been a long intro, but let's go ahead and cue the music.
You're listening to Brave New Teaching, and we are so much more than a podcast.
We give teachers the inspiration, support, and tools to challenge the status quo.
I'm Amanda, and I'm a former English teacher from Illinois.
And I'm Marie, and I'm a teacher from Southern California.
Join us at bravenewteaching.com to find out more about our courses, festivals, and get every episode's show notes.
We're so glad you're here. Enjoy the show.
Let's talk about the one-pager quiz. The one-pager quiz is something that might surprise you as a formative assessment. I feel like they're kind of propped up as summatives all the time. I think like the social media version of this is very much summative, but I use them for formatives. I know you do too, Marie. And
all the time.
They're an awesome way for, again, an open-ended rubric-based assessment with multiple opportunities for students to show their understanding. I mean, a one-pager is, probably like the biggest, most open way that we have. There's not even much to tell you other than, have you thought of using it for formative? And that prompt, instead of having students write, or instead of having them discuss, or instead of having them do something else, the prompt of what you need them to show you that they understand is to create a one-pager.
Yeah.
Fancy.
So I've used this for a bunch of different, I like to use one-pagers, especially for choice units. But the example that we have here is one of Amanda's like signature units of study that she talks about all the time, and she's done an amazing job with 1,000 Splendid Suns. But just imagine, as she's going through that, if you're going to dive into something like choice or lit circles or something like that, or if you're not in the English language arts area and you're like, well, I don't quite know how this would work. It's so malleable. Like, it's so flexible when you're just asking for different categories of understanding and categories of knowledge and skill. That's really what a one-pager asks for.
And we can list a few extra prompts for you too. I mean, the idea is, especially if you're in book clubs or lit circles, right? Your one pager could be focused on the protagonist, right? You can ask one question about the protagonist, and everyone's individual book applies differently. And they're able to all be assessed the same way, but have their own reading in their hands.
Yes, absolutely. So what were all of the different things that students had to do with this one pager?
So with this one pager, we asked students to, first of all, it's connected to the essential question, which is one of the most important things we talk about in our course, curriculum rehab, is the formative assessments, the close reading, all the pieces of the unit are all threaded together with this essential question. So that's where we have to start with this one pager, is the prompt is inspired by that. And so the prompt in this unit is all about relationships, or the essential question is all about relationships and why they matter. And so I asked them to find quotes and images that were related to and relevant to a certain part of their reading in the relationships that they had found in that part. I also kind of had taken their relationship with their culture and the society in which they were experiencing those relationships as part of the prompt for this one pager. And so students had to respond with quotes, a paragraph of writing, and images. And then my students in this case, what you're seeing here is not the final product. The final product was them. They did a screens share on Flipgrid. So they kind of did like a narrative walkthrough of their one pager. So they were explaining the pieces, what they chose, and why. So you can't see that here. You're just kind of seeing the product. But that was how I used a one pager in a digital format.
And I've used very similar, like, expectations out of a student and looked specifically at tone and mood, right? So my essential question, what makes a villain? And show me your evidence of tone, or like pick a passage that has a really clear tone and mood. Give me some visuals to represent the tone, visuals to represent the mood, and a passage. And then like annotate and explain to me how and why you have identified this tone and mood within this passage. Something that pertains to the villain. Like it can be that simple and quick, or it can be a little bit more developed. And then here we have a rubric of how you could go about grading. And it's just very simple. Like the criteria are legitimately just a couple of skills. Well, 2 reading skills and a writing skill, as you can see here with one of Amanda's Raisin in the Sun 1-pagers. And then it's just check mark. Where did you get on these? One of the keys when it comes to grading formative assessments with rubrics, and that's why we said repeat using these rubrics, is that the repetition trains students and it trains their expectations on exactly how to understand what's expected of them. I don't know if that made sense, but that's, yeah.
And it also, in terms of grading, which is this webinar is not really about the grading part of the assessments, but it does help the grading. When students understand the rubric, they understand the rubric as feedback. And we stop spinning our wheels, trying to write feedback all the time and constantly doing things on top of the rubric. We want the rubric to do the work.
All right, friends. So hopefully you were able to follow along, because I know it is kind of hard to listen to an audio of something that was visual in the first place. But we thought that the 1-pager quiz formative assessment would be a good little toe dip into the world of Down with the Reading quiz.
So yeah, so like if you were driving to work today, you heard this great idea, you're like, OMG, I'm totally doing a 1-pager quiz today. When you get to your computer, you can sign up for the full masterclass and then watch that when you're ready. You'll have more time to kind of decompress, like take it all in. We wanted to give you something that was actionable right away, because that's what we're here for. That's something that we really take seriously as podcast hosts, is not giving you just fluff, but we're giving you the stuff. So raise your hand if you're going to try a 1-pager quiz.
My hand's
all
up.
The hands are up.
Oh my gosh, look at that. Wow. Look at this classroom engagement. This is amazing.
We can actually give you the URL. You're going to go to bravenewteaching.com/masterclass. That's where you're headed to sign up.
Yes. And we are excited because we know that after you take this masterclass, you're just going to want to keep coming back for more from Brave New Teaching. We want to give you workshops. We want to give you live trainings. We want you to join us in curriculum rehab. We want to see you every week on the podcast and all the other places. And we're excited to bring you into the fold. And if you're already one of our Brave New Teaching besties, again, take the link to this episode and send it out to your friends. Text it away, because this is one of those things that will get the conversation started in your department or in your group chat, or what. Like, this is a great place to start those professional conversations in a low stakes kind of a way. So there we go. All right, friends, we know you have a busy day ahead of you. So we hope it's a good one. Have a wonderful week at school. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being so amazing at what you do. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Thanks again for listening to Brave New Teaching.
We'd love to keep the conversation going over on Instagram.
And while you're there, check out the links in our bio for the most up-to-date events going on in the Brave New Teaching community.
Thanks for being here, and have a great week at school.